Okay, so Sophie is a wonderful mare who just happens to be a little bit shy of the saddle pad. So even though she's been ridden a number of times, even here, you can see she still gets a little nervous. This doesn't have anything to do with pain. This doesn't have anything to do with saddle fit. This is just basically nerves as far as she's getting a little older. She thought she was retired. She had time off. And now we're asking her to ride again. So you'll see as I pick it up, she's a little nervous. What we're going to do is we're going to let her smell it. Good girl. Yeah. And we're going to keep up with the positive reinforcement. Now, it doesn't help that, there you go, Sophie. It doesn't help that her paddock mate is screaming for her. There we go. Good girl. Sadie out. Sadie out. Sadie out. Doesn't help that her paddock mate's screaming for her. So she's feeling a little out of sorts. There we go. Good girl. Now, a lot of times people would take what I just did and they would just head out and start riding. I'm just going to make this a little bit tighter for being in the cross ties. It's a little loose. And I don't want it getting into her eye. So there we go. So, yeah. So normally someone would come up and they'd just basically start riding. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take it off again. Going to continue with the positive reinforcement. It's hard to get this mare to actually relax, but we're going to do our best. She's just a lot of emotions, this mare. Here we go. We're going to show it to her again. Hi, yeah, you know this. Good girl. And we're going to put it on again. And so you can see she's still not 100% comfortable. She's still tensed up. But she didn't walk around. She didn't move as much as she did before. And we're just going to give her big, long pets. We're going to relax. So one of my techniques for relaxing horses is literally just a little shake. Right here at the front, especially if they're really high-headed. There we go. Good girl. So you can definitely feel a lot of tension in the front of a horse here, especially if they're kind of inverted. Giving it a little shake helps her to calm down a bit, helps her to relax. I'm going to reposition her one more time. And again, not getting frustrated with her. She's not getting in trouble. We're just repositioning. And there we go. We got a little bit of a lick and chew. She's much more relaxed in the front here. Her breathing's changed. We're going to take it off one last time. And again, we're going to tell her she's a good girl. Yeah. And we're going to let her smell it. Yeah, good girl. And now we're going to put it on again. Oh, okay. And let her smell it again. I'm going to reposition her. Because again, we want to reinforce this idea. And we want her to stay in the same place. It's not enough to just accept the saddle pad. I want her to accept it in the same spot. And we're going to be able to put it on. Nope. That's okay, babe. Relax. Her mama's supposed to meet us for a trail ride. We're going to be running a little late, but again, my time schedule and her time schedule are two different things. So I have to work within the time schedule that she's giving me. And again, just going to give her some shakes. Try and get her to loosen up a little and relax. Good girl. Hey. Hi, monkey. Hey. Now, another technique that I do use is breath work, not in the typical sense. So a lot of times people will do breath work and they'll just take deep breaths and be very relaxed around their horse, which obviously does work. The other bit of breath work that I do, though, is what horses will do to each other. So just breathing into their nostrils, not blowing hard or anything like that. I'm just kind of saying, hey, you can trust me. Good girl. And now we're going to put this back on. Hey. And now as soon as she starts getting upset or nervous, I'm going to stop. Now she's doing really well because her paddock mate is losing his mind in the paddock, but just behind the barn here. And now we're going to put this back on. Good girl. Easy. Now, it wasn't perfect, and that goes to what I was saying, which is I want the try, I want the effort. She moved away a little bit. She didn't seem nearly as scared as she was, and she's not as tense as she was. So now we're going to move on with the saddle. And for some reason, she doesn't seem to have as much problem with the saddle as she does with the with the pad. However, that paddock mate of hers is running. So bring it up and lay it gently. So that's probably the most important part of saddling, is to bring it up and lay it gently on their back. You wouldn't want somebody to toss something over you. So we're not going to do that to our horses either. So I know he's just screaming back there, isn't he? I know, baby. You're such a good girl. You're going to have to put up with me. I do talk to the horses as if they are human and they can understand me. Even though, yes, I know darn well that they can't. So, good girl. So she is getting a little nervous because he is screaming. Now, the nice thing is that earlier this week, when I took her out of that paddock and brought her here to work with, I couldn't. She was just way too uppity. She was too worried about where exactly he was, what he was doing. She was calling back and forth to him. And what we did was I worked with her outside. So I tied her up outside in a paddock or in a sight line to the paddock that he's in. He continued to kind of lose it. She continued to kind of lose it for a bit. And then they calmed down. And so now we've graduated to coming inside and away from that paddock. He doesn't realize that she's working. She knows she's working. So she's able to relax. And he's still being a bit of a nut bar. But unfortunately, there is no quick fix to a horse that's buddy sour. It is just consistency and patience and understanding. Okay,